This week I'm going to be doing an unboxing and a review of these Aqua Medic EcoDrift 4.1 and 8.1 Wavemakers. So Aqua Medic specialise in products used for saltwater and marine and reef tank hobby. However, I got my hands on these Wavemakers and I felt that I wanted to do an unboxing and use them in my freshwater aquarium. Before we get into the unboxing, I just want to say, what Wavemakers do you use, if you use them at all? Put your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear what piece of kit you have on your tanks and what advice you offer and to why you use Wavemakers within your aquarium. Getting your comments and your likes on the video really helps me go a long way to achieving my goals, so I appreciate all the support that I'm getting up to now. Don't forget to subscribe. I use Wavemakers in my tanks for a couple of reasons really. One, to help the circulation within the tank, to help the circulation of water, to ensure there's no debris or detritus or fish poop or whatever you want to call it settling on the bottom, and also to get that flow of water around the tank, the movement within the plants, and a more natural habitat for the fish that I keep. On top of that, I also use Wavemakers as power heads to help with water surface agitation, to ensure that there's plenty of oxygen going into the water. The greater surface agitation that you have, the greater surface area, meaning the greater oxygen, and that rippling effect creates a greater surface area and more oxygen for your fish, and therefore happier fish. They've got more oxygen to thrive from within the tank. So let's crack on with the unboxing. As for the EcoDrift 8.1, I have actually already unboxed this and got it set up in my aquarium, so I can give a bit of a review on that and how I think about it and feel about it. So I'm going to crack on and do the 4.1 unboxing. So as it says here on the front, high performance current pump with RC controller for adjusting the flow and wave frequency. So within the box I'm expecting obviously to find the Wavemaker itself, but also the controller to control various settings within the Wavemaker. The Wavemakers that these produce, they come in a 4.1, 8.1, 15.1 and 20.1. The 4.1 is for aquariums up to 300 litres, 8.1 800 litres, 15.1 1500 litres and 20.1 2000 litres. And as you can see here, the 4.1 produces 800 to 4000 litres per hour. The 8.1, which I have here, does 1600 to 8000 litres per hour, and the 15.1 3000 to 15,000, and the 20.1 4000 to 20,000 litres per hour. So some of these are absolute beasts. The wattage on them are pretty low as well. The 4.1 3 to 10 watt, the 8.1 8 to 20 watts, the 15.1 10 to 35 watts, and the 20.1 20 to 60 watts, depending on obviously which Wavemaker you've got in your tank. It says on the front low energy, safety volts 0 to 10 volts, this particular one. The 8.1 says 0 to 10 volts as well, and it also is Wi-Fi enabled. As it says on the back, high performance current pump with RC controller for adjusting the flow, power and wave frequency. New 0 to 10 volt connection for external control options. RC controller allows control via the optional EcoDrift wireless master controller. Magnetic holder with vibration reducing rubber clampers, variable flow direction. Light sensor for reducing the current automatically at night. And a 24 volt safety tension including transformer. Let's get it open. So within the 4.1 box itself, here's the Wavemaker. As you can see, this one is pretty tiny. I'd say it's around about the size of an egg, a chicken egg, but it's tiny within the aquarium. And then it's got its power lead, and what will lead to obviously the power box and the transformer. It's already pre-put together. There's nothing to do. Wiring is still within inside the tank. However, you've got no suction cups, nothing that can come pretty loose. You've got a really strong magnet here. Okay, so as you can see, it just clips on like that, and this will go through 15mm glass and be strong enough to hold it in place on a 15mm glass tank. Okay, what else have we got in the box? We have a lead. This lead is to connect to the remote controller and provide a light sensor. So this means that you can have your controller anywhere you want really, either in a cupboard or on the other side of the room, and this light sensor can be towards the window or outside the cupboard picking up that light sensor. That means you can have it night mode, which I'll talk about a bit later on in the video, and it will control the power and alter the power automatically depending on whether it's daytime or nighttime. In the plastic bag is your remote controller. This is the other end of the lead, which the Wavemaker itself will connect into and then screw together. And you've got several settings on this controller. You've got a dial to change it from fast to slow wave. You have night mode, which is what I was just discussing then. You can change the speed, and you can also put it into feeding mode. Feeding mode means that if you hold that button down, it will turn the power of the Wavemaker off altogether, meaning that you have about 10 minutes to feed your fish and the fish to eat, and then it will automatically power back on. If you want it back on within that time, just hold it down again. You also have the A/B lock. Basically, that means that this controller and the controller to the 8.1 that I have here can communicate. I can have them on the same settings and only need to adjust one of them, and I make one the master and the other the slave, and that means you can have multiple Wavemakers all speaking to one another wirelessly between themselves, so you don't need to change the settings on every single one. If you're feeding your tank and you've got you've got more than one on the tank, you hold down your feed button, it turns that one off for 10 minutes and the others follow. And in the box here, the power cord, but it comes handy with various adapters depending on what country you're in and what adapter you need. There's 4 different ones. I assume an American one, a European one, a UK one, and I don't know about the other one. Also in the box is the wireless master controller for EcoDrift X1 series. I'm not sure if this means you can do it online. I'll have to look at that further, or whether it's just about how they communicate with one another. And inside, obviously, you've got your trusty manual. Having a quick scan through this, and I have a rough idea of how they work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the 4.1 set up and running, and I'm going to show you just how powerful it actually is and what effect it can have on the aquarium. Okay, so at this moment in time, just briefly put it onto one of my aquariums just to show you some of the controls that it has, some of the modes that it has, and just how powerful it is really. It's the first time that I'm seeing the power of the 4.1. So you've got the controller here. As I say, we've got mode set in here. Just by pressing the button we change it through the different modes. We've got A/B lock button here, which is basically deciding whether you want it to be the master or the slave if you're talking to one or more other devices. And you've got the speed change here along with the slow and fast dial over here. This button, which is what I've just pressed at the moment, temporarily turns it off for 10 minutes, which is the feed setting. So I hold it down and the Wavemaker goes off whilst I feed the fish. Let's get it back on and I'll show you what it can do. You can see now that you've got those ripples along the top, it definitely is creating a surface agitation. It is pointing slightly up. Obviously you don't have to have it pointing up, you can have it pointing up more, like so, or you can have it pointing more horizontal, and yet it still provides some water surface agitation. Or obviously you can push it down, but that's just going to obviously create a surface change throughout the tank. And as you can see, I don't know if you can, but there's fish over here that are obviously feeling the effects of that Wavemaker. Let's get it back up towards the surface. You can run it at 20, 40, 60, 80 or 100%, and we just change it by pressing the speed button. That's 80%, that's 60%, that's 40%, and that's 20%. Okay, so 20% constant. It is a little bit noisy if you're in a quiet room, or you've got your aquarium in a relatively quiet room. It has got a little bit of a hum to it, and these controls are a little bit confusing to get your head around at first, but eventually you do get there. Let's ramp it back up. So that's 20% currently, 40%, 60%, 80%, and 100%. One of the other settings that you've got on here, this is constant. You've also got a couple of wave modes. So let's have it on wave 1. And as you can see, it gives short bursts of waves. Now here is where the dial comes in for fast and slow. This is on a slow wave. If I take it fast, it's on a more regular wave, and as you can see, the surface agitation is actually creating along the top. It's actually creating waves, but you do have this bit of annoying hum. But again, you can slow it down. Slowing it down creates more powerful but less regular bursts. press the mode button again, we get wave setting 2. Wave setting 2 basically ramps up the speed, so it starts at 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100, and then goes back down 80%, 60%, 40%, 20%, and back up. So it just goes up, making it more powerful, and back down, making it less powerful. And again, you can change whether you want it on slow or fast. This is currently on slow, and this is on fast. The last thing you've got is the random setting. So if I press the mode button again, I get the random setting. Now here, it's basically going whatever percentage it wants, 100%, 20%, 60%, 40%, 80%, 100%, 20%. It's really mixing it up and just goes to whatever percentage it wants to at a very random system. This means that any one time there shouldn't be anything static because there should be no dead spots, because it's mixing it up. Here is the port where you attach the wire so it can detect day and night, and if you have it in night mode, it means it's in constant, but will be at 20% at night and 100% or whatever percentage you set it at for the day. Apart from the hum, I really like this piece of kit. It's powerful enough, it creates the waves, you've got the variety of different settings that you may wish to have. It's got the magnetic connector on the outside, so you don't have the suction cups failing you or being knocked off. You can move it round as well. From the outside, you can move it higher. And obviously it's just cutting the surface there. I'm pretty impressed with this, and I'm really pleased that I've got not only the 4.1 but also the 8.1. Okay, obviously here I've only shown you the 4.1. The 8.1 is running on the main tank in the house, and it really is double this. Okay, the box says that the 800 does 1600 to 8000 litres per hour. This does 800 to 4000 litres per hour. You see how powerful that is. If I put the 8.1 in here, it would just stress the fish out to the max, and also cause a lot of the decor to be whipped up and about, and I don't really want that, but you can just really get an impression of how powerful the 8.1 is, given that this 4.1 makes surface agitation the full length of this tank. And in terms of how it is provided to the aquarium, it's produced a lot better circulation, a lot better surface agitation. I'm really pleased with these kits. So that's the unboxing and review of these Aqua Medic EcoDrift 8.1 and 4.1 Wavemakers. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you found it useful, again, give it a like, and hopefully I'll see you again soon if you subscribe to my videos and my channel.